Good. All right. Well, no further ado here. Let me go ahead and introduce our speaker today. Susan Hauser is a middle school teacher at Thurgood Marshall Fund School in Florida, a former NCTE middle level representative at large, and a member of the NCTE Executive Committee Government Relations Advocacy Subcommittee. Millie Davis is the Division Director of Communications and Affiliate Services for NCTE, and she's a member of our co-sponsored speakers program. So go ahead, Susan and Millie, if you want to go ahead and take over and start the presentation. Welcome.
Hi, I'm Susan Hauser, and while I am from Thurgood Marshall Middle School, it is a fun school, but it's actually fundamental school is where that fundamental comes in, the fun. And we're going to... Janet's laughing a little bit there. Anyway, I am happy to be a part of this. I'm probably more technologically challenged than anybody else here, so bear with me as we go through this. And Millie? Hello, Millie?
Hello, Susan. How are you? And hello, everybody out there. I'm sitting here in Urbana, Illinois, and am really glad to be with you, and look forward to Advocacy Day, but also to other advocacy efforts that we might make during the year. So I'm going to pass back to you, Susan.
We're going to look at some real-life situations, and these are situations that have actually happened to me on my trips to Washington. And what we're going to do is just kind of read through them, and if there's anything that I think maybe I can throw in to give you a little bit more about the situation, and then you're going to have an opportunity to respond. What do you think you would do in this situation? In this first situation, it says you've made an appointment and confirmed an appointment with a senator and a staffer. And again, that is not always, that's a pretty unique thing, is to actually be able to get the appointment and actually see the senator or the House of Representatives person, because normally you see the staff person, but this was an appointment where we actually had a appointment with a senator, and when we arrived in his office, we had to wait for 30 minutes or so, and then we were told that the senator was called to the floor for a vote. The staffer is obviously extremely busy and tells you she can talk to you for 5 minutes in a crowded, busy waiting room. And this was the scenario that we came up against, and I'm just going to move to the next slide and give you a chance to respond to that and see how you might handle that situation. And you put your little dot in the box.
Job.
Correct,
Michael's
Janet?
new to our group here, but Michael, you need to click on the ellipse, which is just to the left of the board. It's a filled ellipse, a filled circle, and you can click on that, and then down below you'll see some colors show up. So you can pick a color, and then you come back up to the whiteboard, and then you click and drag that to make a bigger ellipse, and then you'll fill in the area where you're kind of choosing what you do. And if you choose other, please type that into the chat area.
I'm waiting for some responses in the other. What your other response might be. Okay, I'd leave my folder with the receptionist. Ask if an option. That's a good one, Fred. She says she'd smile and say she'd be glad for the 5 minutes and try and say what she needed to and for. That's a good response. Well, actually what happened with us, and I was with 2 other people in this situation, was really almost a combination of everything except just forget it. We did tell the receptionist that we had another appointment, and that appointment was quite a distance of walking away from where we were. We also, I guess, showed somewhat of disappointment. We didn't mean to, I don't think, but I think she did know that we were a little disappointed in a way. And we left our folder, which had all of our platforms and all of our information for NCTE with it. But we did take the 5 minutes. We sat down in a very crowded waiting room out in front of the senator's office. And while we were somewhat disappointed, we did talk with her and did leave information and sat down and tried to be as cordial as we could. And she actually did get up and leave us probably within 4 or 5 minutes. So it was a very quick and hurried visit, and it kind of left us a little, shell-shocked, but we did get our information and we did leave our information. Okay, this is our second situation, and this is also something that happened to me. I am from the state of Florida, and while I live in the St. Petersburg area, I actually am from North Florida. I'm sure you couldn't tell from my accent, but I'm from North Florida, and this happened at a visit in the House office building, and we saw a representative. I was with another person that was from my state but not from my district, and he was walking with his aide out of his office, and this one says her, it wasn't him, and we did. I went up and introduced myself and said what we were there for and talked about what I gave them a envelope with NCTE information in it, and that was how we handled that. I'm going to give you an opportunity to see what you would do. Again, if you want to put your little dot or to respond in the chat area, which I'm not so good at looking at until after the fact, but I'm trying to look at those. One tree was under objective. And as I said, this was pretty much what we did. We spoke to the representative, told him that we were from the state of Florida and actually what district we were from, and left the information with him. And actually, because I knew that he was a friend of education and did vote for a lot of things that were pro-education, it was a very, very pleasant conversation. Okay, our next situation. You get to actually meet with your representative and his education aide. And this was another instance where I did actually get to meet with the representative. While explaining the NCTE legislative platform and recommendations for No Child Left Behind changes, he states that he is ready to back a bill that would stop FCAT, which is Florida's high-stakes test, and ask what you think. How would you respond to that? We don't have responses there, but in the next slide. But if you'd like to share any in the chat room, that would be great. While I tell you what we actually did. This was kind of a combination of another scenario that I had put in at one time with another group that I did this with, and this was a chat with a representative that, again, a very short time frame. I think he said he had 2 minutes to talk with us. As we were coming in, he's on the Armed Forces Committee. I'm not sure that's the exact name for that, but people were saluting and leaving with uniforms on, and we were ushered in and told we had, 2 to 3 minutes to talk to him. And he said, well, I'm ready to back a bill that would stop all this testing. And basically what I said to him in that very short period of time was that we're not opposed by any means to assessing our students, but what we would like to see is that the FCAT is not the only test that's used, or the high stakes test in any state is not the only assessment. And I tried to put those key words in there, that there was some information from NCTE that multiple assessments was what we were working for in trying to change some legislation. And I don't think I had that. Okay, check my responses. Immediately pull out my checkbook and contribute. That was pretty good, Fred. Sounds interesting, but what ideas do you have to check for professional standards in school development? Okay, and again, one of the things that we did end up talking about was the fact that there is, what we're interested in is having multiple assessments and different and alternative assessments, and not just having the one test that's used for everything. Okay, moving along here. One of the things in these next couple of slides that I'm going to try to do is share with you some information that I've learned along the way, and some things so that if you are coming to Washington, even if you don't get to come this year, you can follow through with some of these things and know that it's not you, or that try not to get yourself too frustrated. And that's what the first one says. Don't get frustrated with the process of trying to get in to see a senator or representative. And all those links that are back on the website kind of walk you through how to go about getting an appointment, all of the things that you need to do. But one thing that you do need to remember is that you have to keep your end of the conversation going. You have to be the one that pursues the appointment or pursues a relationship with any of the people that work in these offices. Partly because if you just think about the number of people that they come in contact with and actually come to Washington, the number of people that call and email the senators and representatives on a daily basis is phenomenal. And most of the time it can be a very frustrating experience when they don't even remember what organization you're from or what NCTE stands for. And so you can develop this very calm way of saying the National Council of Teachers of English, and share with them that what our organization is, and that we represent 52,000 teachers across the United States, and many times just keeping that information, trying to keep information in your head so that you're prepared to tell them that and not get frustrated. I put this in here so that you would know that you do have to wait and wait and wait, and sometimes you have to wait and wait and wait in the office. You would hope that they are as professional as you try to be, and sometimes it just doesn't quite work out that way. It is such a hectic, busy pace in those offices that you just really have to be prepared to wait. And that's on the phone, that's on email, and that's really in pretty much everything you do when you're dealing with the offices. Keep informed of issues. Remember that you're representing NCTE. When you come to Washington, for Advocacy Day, you're given information and materials that are very up to date. We have a seminar that starts in the morning that helps to prepare us with what things are coming up that the representatives and senators will be voting on, and so that information is very up to date. But you as well need to keep yourself abreast of what's going on, and you can do that now on the website. The website now is so great at having all the links that you know. Another thing I put here to try to remember is to tell personal experiences that relate to changes in legislation, and try not to share personal opinions that may or may not be well accepted by the senator or by the representative. And my little last comment there is to play nice. Sometimes it seems that everything does go at such a fast pace, and they don't sometimes seem to be as interested as maybe you want them to be. But this was a little story that I've told before, and I probably should have told it earlier, and I forgot about it. But the one representative that I did go to see, again, on a very short time frame, and I was with two college-level people, and another principal was with me as well. And a question came up, and I did say, well, as a teacher who's been in the classroom for 25 years, and the representative laid his pencil down or pen down on the table and actually looked in my face. And I knew I had his attention at that point, and I knew that he was going to listen to me. And that's the part of some of my inspiration of why I do this, because I feel that we are at a place where they will listen to us, and we are at a place where our experience in the classroom will be listened to if we bring it and present it in a manner that they are accustomed to hearing things. Okay, how to contact your legislator. As of after 9/11, no U.S. Post Office mail is delivered to any senator or House of Representatives office, so you do have to email. And there, again, on the website is a sample letter of how you can request a meeting with your representative or your senator. After you send that email, it's very important that you follow up with phone calls. Now, again, this is a phone tag generation as well, but many times you just have to keep calling back. Most of the time, if you get the right person, and sometimes that may take you 2 or 3 people to get to the person that you actually want to meet with, or with the scheduler, and you have to keep calling until you get some sort of answer. I've told this story before as well. I have gotten a confirmation as late as the night before when I flew in. And so it is a last-minute procedure, and sometimes you don't know as well that you do have appointments until you're actually there in Washington. Also, it's good to call and confirm the day of the appointment, and also ask if the time is still convenient. Sometimes you can avoid a lengthy wait if you find out that something has held the senator up or the person that you're meeting with, and that way you can readjust your time frame. Tips for speaking to legislators, and I think Millie is going to talk a little bit about this.
I'd be happy to.
Is Millie there?
Here. I am here. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, good. Okay, well, good.
I'm tired of talking.
Oh, okay. Well,
just
a few things to remember here. It's really good to find out about your legislator, and you can do that by going to a website called congress.org and putting in your zip code. Sometimes you need also the zip +4, so you can get your representatives as well. But that website will not only give you contact information for your legislator both in Washington and at home, which is really important when most legislators turn up at home over the weekend time, but also during certain breaks from the legislative session, and that's a great time to go and visit them. On that website, there also are places where you can find out the list of committees the legislators serve on, the votes that they've taken, and so forth, so that you know the person that you're talking to and can think about how to match the message you want to take to both their committee assignments and to their voting record. It's always a good idea to develop 2 or 3 main talking points that you want to make regarding the policies that you're carrying along with you. But part B, as a good teacher that you are, you want to be a really good listener when you're in the office. You never know when a question will come up that was totally unexpected by you and that you didn't have in your envelope that states your mission for the visit, and yet being able to answer that question for the legislator could be the very essence of the best visit you ever had and the best knowledge they ever gained. So do listen and certainly rely on your expertise, and don't ever be afraid to say, I'm not sure I know the answer to that, but I will find somebody who does, and I'll get back to you and have them get back to you as soon as I'm able to when I go back home, and then email them back with the information. And then a good practice session before you go is to think about what the toughest questions might be that a legislator would ask you, and think about how you might answer them. And I think Susan demonstrated that really well with her answer about testing. You know, as much as we'd like to applaud that they were going to eliminate all the tests, we also want to let them know that assessment is really important to us. So nuancing those answers is a really good way to go. And then I'm going to flip to the next slide, and Susan, I believe you're going to talk to us a little bit about these web resources.
Yes, I am. Sorry, my microphone wasn't on. We were going to just briefly, these are the web addresses that you can go to, and you should see the one coming up for the Senate. What you can do, if you'll go over to the right, upper right, you'll see Find Your Senators, and it's as easy as clicking. I'm going to go down and click on Florida because I'm from Florida, and you can go and click on your state, and your representatives will come up. Your senators, I'm sorry, will come up. The same is true of the House site. You get their address. If you go, you get their website, and if you, I'll just even go a step further and go to Mel Martinez, who's a senator from Florida. This is their websites give you all their office locations. They're in all areas of the state as well as in Washington. So you're able to get a lot of information just by putting in your state. And I'm going to go back to that website. Here, NCTE has, even since I started doing this, our website is so wonderful now and has all these links. The page that Millie showed you at the beginning has just about everything that you could ever want to know to help prepare you for your visit. We have Fred on board with us, who is I should know all of Fred's information there, but Fred is highly affiliated with Slate and does the newsletter, I believe. You can type in there and tell me if I'm wrong, Fred. And the Slate newsletter as well has really a lot of good information, and making sure that you're reading the action alerts. If you're an NCTE member, you do get the action alerts and respond to those. Not only just you responding, but everyone in my department at school knows when I've gotten an action alert because I tell them to email their congressperson or email the state or local representatives so that when I hear of something that is of major importance in that area as well. I just wanted to kind of wrap up and close by saying again how much this has meant to me in the last few years that I've been doing this. As I told you before, I've been teaching for 25 years, and there's a lot of frustration that goes with the joy of doing what I do for as long as I have. And this has been, I feel, my way of kind of helping not only myself as a teacher, but helping our profession, and particularly helping those new teachers that are coming into our field. And I do think it is important for the average everyday classroom teacher to make a point to try at least once to get to going to supporting our Advocacy Day, and also working with your local affiliate to work on state issues and local issues as well. I'm also involved with FCTE, which is the Florida Council of Teachers of English, and we're really making an effort here in the state of Florida now to send people to the state House and to the state Senate, and to also be active in those kinds of projects as well around the state. And Fred's saying that I can write for Slate as well, which I did, I think, once. All right. Millie, do you have some closing thoughts or words that you would like to share?
I'd just like to thank everybody who participated for doing so. I'd like to invite you to email me at mdavis@ncte.org if I can help you think about some ways to do advocacy locally or nationally. And I really appreciate the fact that you've been with us today, and that I'm going to get to meet some of you in person pretty soon in Washington. Thank you.